moving on to free range. Now, most people believe that when you are buying a free range product that it is better environmentally in some way. And the reason that I use this picture, again, we're back to this picture, is because this could be considered free range. Like I said, all a farmer has to do is open a door, 5 minutes a day, and this could be considered free range. So really, there's no difference. There's no true change from free range, from a conventional to free range as far as environmental. There's no difference. But let's say that there is a truly free range situation that they actually. So this farmer, if you look at this building and this picture, this building sits on maybe half an acre of land, maybe a full acre of land. Now, let's say this farmer says, I want to go free range. I want to get more money for my eggs, is really the reason that they do it. I am going to give these birds a little bit more space. Maybe, a bit more space for them to have some semblance of natural behaviors. He would need, even double the space wouldn't be enough. Triple the space wouldn't be enough. He would need acres and acres more land. And so this is when we're getting into that. If we truly wanted to free range all the animals that we have confined in confinement buildings, we would have to clear millions of acres of wild areas, forests and prairies and wetlands to accommodate all these free ranged animals and local animals. Free ranging animals for food can never be more than a specialty market for a few elite buyers. We can't scale it up. We would need closer to 5 planet Earths to be able to accommodate all the farmed animals on this planet and give them the space that they need and deserve. So it just simply can't be done. All right, let's move on to grass-fed. Now, grass-fed, this one was really interesting when I started digging into the research here. Grass-fed, why does someone buy the grass-fed label? They think it's more environmental, really. That's the number one reason that someone would buy a grass-fed product, is that they think it's more environmental. Well, guess what? Grass-fed beef can produce 50 to 60% more greenhouse gas emissions than grain-eating conventional feedlot cattle. And they also waste more water because they're moving around, they're drinking more. It takes 18 to 24 months longer to get grass-fed cows up to market weight, slaughter weight. So that extends the time that they're alive, burping greenhouse gases and polluting the water and drinking the clean water. And, it's worse. It's actually worse. There's been numerous studies on this now out of Oxford and Harvard and Washington State University, and they're comparing conventional feedlot cattle with the grass-fed cattle. And again, they're finding that grass-fed products require more land, more water, more fossil fuels, produce the most greenhouse gases. This is a situation where this label isn't just neutral, it's worse. It's really awful. So, okay. So now this is where some locavores and some environmental proponents that are into the food and agriculture issues would say, hang on. You can't just throw the cows out there and expect it all to be okay. There's methods, there's ways to do it. And that's when we get into regenerative grazing. So regenerative grazing has really become the darling of the locavore movement, of the food movement. You'll see a lot of stuff around regenerative grazing. It goes by lots of names: rotational grazing, short duration grazing, multi-paddock grazing. But regenerative is kind of the new buzzword around it. And so what it is, I'll explain what it is first before I get into a little about it. But the reason I use this image is to kind of give you a visual. And what a farmer needs to do regenerative grazing is he needs a big area of land, acres of land, for a very small number of animals, very small herd of animals. And they need to be ruminants, so it'd be cows or sheep. And you put the ruminants, the cows or sheep, in one of these triangles, one of these spaces, and they graze and they eat the grass. And then once it's eaten down a bit, they take away one of these lines, one of the white lines, move, it's a fence, move the cows over, put the fence back up, and now the cows graze in that next small triangle, and that other triangle regenerates, or the grasses grow back. So this is the idea, but it seems really simple, but there's a lot of complicated reasons why this is not the green solution that everyone wants it to be. And it's nothing new. This has actually been studied for like 4 decades. And unfortunately, the bottom line, the big picture is that there's just not any peer-reviewed research that shows that this is a better system long-term in any way. But I do get into this issue deeply on my podcast. So I'm going to give a plug for my podcast here. I have a podcast called the Hope for the Animals podcast, where you can hear me at my best because I get to audio edit out all the ums and nos, which is great. But I have some wonderful guests. And one of the guests that I just had recently was Dr. Tushar Mehta, and he is a data specialist, and he has dug into why regenerative grazing is not really the eco solution, and how the ranchers are manipulating the science on their websites and in their literature to make it look a lot better than it actually is. So I encourage you to go to my podcast and listen to episode 27. It's called Debunking or Dismantling Regenerative Animal Agriculture, I believe, with Dr. Tushar Mehta. So if you're interested in this and want to get more in depth, please check out my podcast. All right. So basically, just kind of wrapping up the free ranging thing, free ranging, grass-fed, rotational grazing, whatever it is, it's something that people really want to believe is true. They really want their beef burger, but unfortunately, it just doesn't hold water scientifically. And it can't be scaled up. Once again, with regenerative grazing, I mean, you're using a small number of animals for a huge area of land. If we already have a land issue, if we're already using so much of our land for animal agriculture, why is the solution to use more? It's not.